Hi Andrew, thanks for the footage. Just relating to the two problems that you've described in your email, push fade and an impact zone that's too much behind the golf ball. If we take a little look at you here at setup, first thing we notice is that the shoulder alignment is slightly open. It could be that your ball position was creeping forward on that one, because from face on everything looks nice, and no real reason why your shoulder alignment should be open. Nice balanced setup at that point, as we can see here with Grant Waite. Maybe the ball a touch too far forward, but nothing dramatic. Grant Waite tends to play it a little bit further back in his stance. What we do see, however, and this is where your main problem lies, is we see a takeaway where the golf club works back very, very hooded. You can see there that the tendency is to keep the club face pointing at the ball or pointing at the target, whichever it is you're feeling like you're doing. So you swing that club back on a very straight line. The club doesn't trace an arc as it goes back, resulting in a club face position where the toe end of the club is pointing out in front of you and the club face is pointing down to the ground. So at that point in your golf swing, you've took all the loft off the club face and the club now is pointing left in relation to the path of your swing. If we compare that to what we see here with Grant Waite, you can see as he takes the club back, the club traces an arc slightly on the inside, and as he gets his hands to about waist level, as we see with yourself in that footage, the toe end of his club is much more pointing up in the air and the club face more out in front of him. So he's maintained the loft on the golf club and his club is now square to the path of his swing. As a result of that, if we just play your swing through, everything you do now in your downswing, irrespective of the other positions in your swing, is designed to create a squarer club face. So the tendency from here now is to sort of rotate the arms under and open the club face up so that it's square. The problem you've got now is you're relying heavily on your timing. If you overdo that, that's your big push fade. With a driver, for instance, that compensatory move that you make is not as essential because it's harder to take a driver back hooded. The natural tendency is for a driver with a bigger head and a longer shaft to roll open more during the backswing. So the compensation you make is to go from shut to open in the downswing. So hooded on the way back, opening up on the way down. Now whenever you see a player opening up on the way down, what you're going to tend to see is a dramatic shift in shoulder angle, and you can see as you come into the ball from face on, that left shoulder climbing and that right shoulder dropping. So in an attempt to open that club face up and get some loft back on the club and get it back square to your path, the left shoulder climbs, the right shoulder drops, your swing centre moves back, and whenever that happens you're likely to strike the turf behind the golf ball. What we see here with Grant Waite is a position where he's maintained a loft on the club on the way back, the club's square to his path, he's now able to move forward, and if you look at him at impact, his shoulders are much more level just before impact than we see with yourself, and on the way through we don't see that left shoulder climb quite as high. Coming into a nice balanced finish with yourself, we see that left shoulder climbing high, throw the club at the ball to try and prevent it from hitting the ground behind, left leg braces, and we get that nice high, or not nice, but nice high left shoulder movement through the golf ball, which again can result in a club that's working quickly out in front of you. And obviously you're going from close to open. If you get the club out in front of you and opening up, there's your big push fade with your driver. So just to recap, what we want you to try and work on is a little bit more of a neutral club face going back. So again, if we just compare you to Grant Waite, we need to square those shoulders up based on this footage here. That could require you to just inch your ball back a little bit, but on the way back we need less of this club face position, very hooded, and more of this club face position, a lot more neutral. So try and feel that the toe end of the club is going to work away. You need to trace an arc with your club on the way back, almost like you're swinging in a circle. Let the club rotate open on the way back. Consequently, if you do that, you can start to release the club better. You'll have less of a need to hang back and open it up on the downswing. What I'd expect to see you do early doors is maybe hit a lot of push cuts originally until you can learn to re-rotate the club face in the through swing. You are going to experience a few funny ones early doors, but the feeling is almost like the club. If you look at Grant Waite's club, I'm just going to bring him up on the full screen now for a second or two. It's almost like he's opening a gate on the way back. If you imagine the club face is a gate, he's going to open that gate on the way back, and then as he comes through, he's going to close that gate. You can see there that the toe end of the club is pointing much more up in the sky. So if I was to just put a circle on the screen for you to represent his swing, let's get rid of those lines. Imagine if you were viewing his swing from above now, and we had the golf ball central in the stance. As the club works back from a square position at setup, the club face is going to stay square to the path or arc of the swing. So there's the gate opening up, and then on the way through, it's going to retrace that path the other side of the golf ball, and that, if you will, is the gate shutting. So we've just got to try and feel that we're going to rotate that club face a little bit more naturally. You don't need to rotate it open, you don't need to fan it open, but just as you see there with Grant Waite, we've got a golf club that's tracing the path of his swing. So there's your key position. If you can get that position ingrained into your golf swing, you're going to be in a much better position to release it. Keep that right side a little bit higher through the ball, less of a need to rotate open on the downswing. That'll stop you drop kicking the shots where you hit the ground behind the ball, and will encourage you to square the club up more, getting rid of that push fade. Thanks a lot, and keep me updated. Well done.